Learning objectives are fourfold: to understand the foundation of education in a digital context, examine integration of AI in education, develop competencies in digital literacies and AI ethics, and analyze real world AI implementations in education. Before thinking about how you might use AI in your classroom, it is important to refresh your thinking about what is you are aiming to achieve. Your aim should be clear with it. What is education? It is easy to be seduced into using innovative technologies which have the appearance of being helpful insofar as they allow learners to present work that seems to be of a high standard. As you will appreciate, a product is only meaningful if it is authentic evidence of learning. Education is a multifaceted concept that varies depending on the context, such as teaching children versus adults. UNESCO 1996, Learning the Treasure Within, defines education as encompassing four fundamental types: learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, and learning to be. While the process of education can be challenging, its ultimate outcomes are rewarding and beneficial. If we take, for example, the process of learning to read and write, we can easily see how tempting it must be for a learner struggling to shape letters and form them into words on a paper. To prod a machine to produce a piece of elegant script in a typeface of their choice. But again, we can learn from Aristotle. We learn an art or craft by doing the things we shall have to do when we have learned it. This is often quoted as what we have to learn to do. We learn by doing. So, considerations to educating in a digitalized world. SAMR model, a framework to gauge the integration of digital technologies into education. Levels of SAMR model: substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition. Purpose of SAMR model: to help educators consider the role of digital technologies in teaching and learning and its impact on learning activities. SAMR: substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. A reflective tool to consider technology roles in teaching. SAMR: substitution, technology substitute another tool. There is no functional change to the activity. Augmentation, technology substitute another tool. There is a functional improvement to the activity. Modification, the incorporation of technologies allow for a significant redesign of the activity. And redefinition, the incorporation of technologies allow for the creation of new activities that were previously inconceivable. Bloom's taxonomy: evolving learning objectives and outcomes, in 1956 versus Anderson 2001. So knowledge comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation by Bloom. To remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create by Anderson and Krathwohl in 2001. Bloom was, and as remember, Bloom was interested in his own levels by giving the 6 levels of remembering, recall facts and basic concepts, understand, explain ideas or concepts, apply, use information in new situations, analyze, draw connections among ideas, evaluate, justify a standard decision, and create, produce new or original work. This was the sixth level of Bloom's taxonomy. Digital citizen. Who is a digital citizen? Digital citizens, the competence framework for citizens in 2022. Information and data literacy, locating, accessing, searching, filtering, managing, storing, and evaluating information and digital content. Collaboration and communication, interacting, sharing, engaging in citizenship, collaborating through digital technologies, managing digital identities, digital content creation, like developing, integrating, re-elaborating digital content, copyright and licenses, programming, safety, protecting devices, personal data, privacy, health and well-being, and the environment, problem solving, solving mechanical problems, identifying needs, creative use of technology and responses, and competence gaps. Other digital competence and skill frameworks, ISTE standard, empowered learner, digital citizen, knowledge construction, innovative design, computational thinker, creative communicator, and global collaborator. There is another digital proficiency and productivity design in which digital creation, problem solving, and innovation, digital learning and development, digital identity and well being, information data and media literacies, digital communication, collaboration, and participation. Growing need for AI literacies and competence development. Confidence and ability to clearly explain how AI technologies work and impact society. Use them in an ethical and responsible manner. Effective communication and collaboration with them in any setting. Confidence and ability to self reflect on their AI understanding. Reflect on how well individuals use AI in beneficial ways. The importance of pedagogical choices sharps, sharpens your knowledge, but you have to have your pedagogical choices that shape the success of AI in your classroom. Effective integration of AI depends more on your teaching methods than on the digital tools. We will explore different pedagogical approaches impact on the use of AI in teaching. The success of AI tools depend on how structure and facilitate learning. Your role is key in integrating AI into models like flipped classroom, AI deliver lectures and quizzes at home, teacher facilitate engaging in classroom or practical activities. Project-based learning. AI aids the research and data analysis, but success relies on the teacher ability to guide inquiry and collaboration. Play-based learning. AI tools create interactive games for young learners, but teachers must nurture a stimulating environment. Blended learning. AI supports online and in-person activities, but teachers ensure seamless integration and provide personalized. What is AI-driven teaching practice? Your pedagogical choices define the success of your teaching. AI tools offer support, but your decision, instruction, learning, and engagement make the difference. Example, intelligent learning tutors, AI powered, are valuable but must be integrated into broader strategies. Critical thinking and integration, evaluate AI recommendations, ensure they align with educational goals, adapt AI generated content, customize it to fit your classroom unique context, reflect and iterate continuously, assess AI effectiveness, and make adjustments as needed. interactive content, AI boosts engagement with dynamic learning materials, speech recognition, real-time conversations help students practice language or problem-solving skills, group collaboration are AI tools organize roles and discussions promoting structured teamwork. So personalized learning with AI, adaptive learning, AI adjusts tasks based on student performance, personalized feedback, AI provides real-time feedback, enhancing student understanding, learning analytics, AI help identify learning patterns to offer tailored intervention. So AI can't replace the emotional intelligence, creativity, or personal interaction that teachers provide. Teachers nurture critical thinking, empathy, and personal growth that are irreplaceable qualities. If let's examine AI implementation in different educational contexts and reflect whether technologies create new opportunities or more barriers for students and educators. Case study 1 in Spain. AI tool helped me see challenge visually impaired students struggled with navigation and accessing material. AI powered app using computer vision and machine learning to recognize and narrate objects, text, and other elements. Impact increased student independence and confidence, enhanced engagement in academic and second case study is math pathway of AI tool with large class size hindered personalized STEM support and engagement of students. AI driven platform personalized math education based on each student pace and learning style, continuously assessed student progress and powered real-time feedback. Significant improvement in math performance with higher engagement, better test scores, and more effective intervention for teachers. Another case study is physical education and AI. Traditional physical education classes did not meet the varied fitness levels of students, so AI system collected fitness data from different devices, customized workout plan, tracked students' progress over time, and it had impact on personalized fitness plans, improved motivation and participation, and teachers could monitor and adjust workout based on the data. So step one, how you can create a PLP using AI hands-on. First, you will define your learning goals. Second, you will start by identifying your current knowledge level. And then you will create your own personalized learning through step three, specifying your learning preferences. And step four, you will give time frame and availability. And step five, you will just choose assessment methods. And step six, you will request additional resources. Here is an example prompt. And step seven is define challenges and barriers. And step eight is customize and generate the pathway. Example prompt has been given as well for the same. And other examples are adaptive learning platforms like Dreambox or KNEWTON using AI to personalize learning, AI powered learning management systems, Moodle and Canvas provide AI powered analytics and content recommendation. AI chatbots like IBM Watson Assistant and Microsoft's Bot framework can be used to create AI powered tutors and virtual assistant. AI based content creation tools like OpenAI GPT for content summarization and personalized content creation. Now we will hear what a running commentary on this same topic says. Listen.
The large language model generate paths, structural perfection, like 3 seconds.
3 seconds, exactly.
Yeah. And if we choose one, and let's face it, a lot of people are thinking, what exactly is happening to the neural pathway, right? And are we freeing them up to think about bigger things, or are we quietly outsourcing the very required activity? What cutting edge artificial.
It really is the defining collision of our era, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And to look at it properly, we really have to move past this idea that artificial intelligence is just like a really fast search engine or an upgraded calculator.
Right, right.
A much better way to think about AI, at least in the context of learning, is as a cognitive exoskeleton.
Like that. An exoskeleton.
Yeah, think about it. A physical exoskeleton allows you to lift thoughts without straining muscles, which is great for efficiency. But if you wear it every single day, your actual biological muscles will eventually atrophy.
Because they aren't getting any resistance.
Exactly, because they're no longer experiencing that resistance. So today, we're exploring this deeply insightful presentation. It's titled AI to Enhance by Dr. Syed Mohammed Junaid.
Yeah, it's a fascinating document.
It is. And our mission today is to move way beyond surface level panic or superficial hype about cooling software. We're looking at how we use this cognitive exoskeleton to actually elevate human critical thinking rather than just letting our intellectual muscles display.
Yeah, the stakes really could be higher. We're going to zoom all the way out to high level pedagogy, examining the foundational theories of how human beings actually acquire knowledge. And then we'll zoom at the molecular level, looking at really specific real world case studies from across the globe.
Which is super interesting.
They really are. And finally, we'll give you a practical playbook for how to use this technology. But to understand how to integrate this technology, work with actually forces us to take a massive step back. It forces us to ask deceptively simple questions. What actually is education?
Right, big question.
Yeah. And it points us to this foundational document published back in 1996, beautifully titled Learning, Treasure Within.
1996 was a really fascinating year to anchor this discussion.
Because of the internet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The internet was just beginning to enter the public consciousness. We're right on the precipice of the information age. And yet, the philosophers and educators authoring that UNESCO report, they somehow recognized that simply having access to information would not be enough.
Wow. Very impressive.
They define education not as the mere transmission of facts, but as a lifelong process supported by 4 distinct pillars.
Okay, let's go.
They are learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, and learning to do.
Okay, let's spend some time unpacking those 4 pillars because they really do serve as the ultimate litmus test for everything we're going to discuss. So, learning to know, that's probably what most of us think of when we picture a traditional school. Right?
Yeah, classic classroom model.
Right, it's the acquisition of the instruments of understanding. Yes, the mastery of facts, the memorization of multiplication tables, understanding the water cycle. It is the raw data of the world.
But of course, data without application is doesn't do anything.
Right.
And that is what second pillar is learning to do. This is the ability to act creatively on your environment. So it's taking the mechanical knowledge of physics and actually building a bridge that doesn't collapse.
Putting the theory in practice.
Exactly, the application of theory into practice. And for a long time, traditional education heavily prioritized these first pillars, mostly because they're the easiest to measure with a standardized test.
That makes total sense. But the third and fourth pillars are where things get profoundly human. So learning to live together. That's about participating and cooperating with other people in all human activities. So we're talking empathy, conflict resolution, understanding diverse perspectives.
Yes, the social fabric of learning.
Exactly. And then the fourth pillar, learning to be, is essentially the ultimate goal of the entire enterprise. It's the development of your own personality, your autonomy, your judgment, your personal responsibility. It's the realization of your full human potential.
And when we view education through the lens of those 4 pillars, the threat and the promise of artificial intelligence come into incredibly sharp focus.
How so?
Well, Dr. Junaid's presentation highlights a major psychological trap that we're all very vulnerable to right now. He calls it the seduction of innovative technology.
Oh, that's a great phrase.
It's incredibly easy to be seduced by a tool that allows a learner to present work that appears to be of astonishingly high standard. But, and this is the key, a polished product is only meaningful if it is authentic evidence of learning.
Right. And the presentation grounds this entirely in a quote from Aristotle, which I love. The quote is, "We learn an art or craft by doing the things we shall have to do when we have learned it."
Learning by doing.
Essentially, yes. The act of doing the thing is the mechanism of learning the thing. And the source actually contrasts Aristotle's ancient wisdom with a very modern, almost tragic scenario.
The handwriting example.
Yes. Think about a young learner physically struggling to write letters on a piece of paper. They're awkwardly gripping the pencil. They're trying to remember which way the curve of the V goes. They're getting frustrated, and their handwriting is super messy.
We've all been there.
Right. It's a slow, agonizing process. But right next to this machine, you can prod a keyword a few times, and the screen instantly produces an elegant, perfectly formatted piece of script.
And the seduction there is just overwhelming. I mean, why on earth would we subject a child to the frustration of a messy paper when the machine can produce perfection in a microsecond?
Exactly.
But if we look at neurobiology, what is actually happening there? Skipping the physical struggle means skipping the cognitive rewiring that occurs during that struggle. The physical act of shaping those letters, the visual feedback of getting it wrong and erasing it, the immense mental effort required to translate an abstract thought into a physical fine motor movement, that messy, frustrating process actually is the education.
Okay, I want to push back on that idea just a bit. Acting on behalf of the listener who is maybe thinking about absolute efficiency. Because if a machine can do it instantly, aren't we just saving the learner time?
That's the common argument, yeah.
Right. We don't force engineering students to use a physical slide rule instead of a digital calculator just for the supposed struggle on it. So if an AI can write a beautifully structured essay outline in 2 seconds, aren't we just freeing that student up to think about much higher level, more important concepts?
See, the slide rule is the perfect counter argument. And it's actually the exact debate happening in educational policy circles globally right now. But we have to look really closely at the mechanism of the tool itself. A calculator computes, right? It does not comprehend. When you use a calculator to find the square root of a massive number, you are outsourcing real computation. Exactly. But when you use an artificial intelligence to bypass the foundational steps of constructing an argument, evaluating evidence, or wrestling with syntax, you are not merely saving time, you are outsourcing the cognitive flow required to build the foundational neural pathways of critical thought. So when Aristotle says we learn by doing, the underlying truth is that the doing actually changes us internally.
It changes the brain.
Right. If you just prompt the machine to produce the elegant script, you walk away possessing a nice looking document, but you have not gained the art or the craft. Your brain has not changed.
You essentially own the output, but you skip the input.
Exactly.
And that brings up a massive structural problem for society. Because authentic learning requires the friction of doing. How on earth do we measure if a piece of technology is actually helping us do better, or if it's just secretly doing the work for us?
Yeah.
Because the genie is out of the bottle.
Yeah.
We clearly aren't going to throw the computers out the window and go back to quill and parchment.
No, we definitely are. And that is the pivotal challenge right there. We need robust analytical frameworks to evaluate our use of technology.
Right.
We can't just operate on vibes or assume that because the screen is glowing, learning is automatically happening.
We've all seen a glowing screen where absolutely zero learning was taking place.
Exactly. And the source material provides 2 incredibly vital frameworks for navigating this digitized educational landscape. They are the SAMR model and Bloom's digital taxonomy. Let's dig into the SAM model first, because it specifically evaluates the technology itself.
Okay, so SAM is an acronym, right? SAM.
Yes.
It stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. It's basically a reflective tool designed to gauge the depth and authenticity of digital integration in any learning environment.
Think of SAM as a ladder. It moves from mere mechanical enhancement at the bottom to total social transformation at the top.
Okay, let's climb the ladder.
So at the very base level, you have substitution. This is where the technology acts as a direct substitute for a previous, but absolutely no functional change.
So an example would be,
imagine a teacher who used to hand out a worksheet. Now they upload PDF of that exact same worksheet to the digital portal, and the student types their answers instead of writing them with a pen.
okay, so medium is changed from paper to pixels, but the cognitive task is identical.
Precisely. That's substitution.
Okay, then we step up one rung on the ladder to augmentation.
Right.
Here, the technology is still acting as a direct tool substitute, but now there's an actual functional improvement. So let's take with the reading side. Okay? Instead of just reading a static PDF, the student is reading the text on a platform that has a built-in dictionary. If they highlight a word, the definition pops up immediately. Or perhaps there's a text-to-speech functionality that reads the text aloud for a student with dyslexia. So the fundamental task reading and answering questions is the same, but the technology has significantly augmented the learner's ability to engage.
Perfect example. Now, those first 2 levels, substitution and augmentation, are generally considered enhancement. But when we move to the next level, modification, we cross a really critical threshold. Exactly. We move from enhancing the task to actively transforming it. The incorporation of technology now allows for a significant redesign of the activity itself.
How so? Give me an example of modification.
Okay, let's say the original assignment was to write a solitary book report. Under modification, the student writes the report on a shared cloud-based document. Their peers and their teacher can leave real-time audio notes. They can suggest edits simultaneously and embed multimedia links directly into the text.
Oh, wow. So the assignment is no longer just a solitary static product.
Right. It is a dynamic, collaborative process. The technology has fundamentally modified the nature of the work.
And finally, we reach the absolute pinnacle of the ladder, definition. This is where the technology allows for the creation of new tasks that were previously entirely inconceivable without it. So the assignment is no longer a book report at all.
What is it instead?
Instead, the students use AI to analyze the thematic structure of the novel. They collaborate via video link with a classroom on other content to study the exact same book. And together they co-create a dynamic, interactive visual museum exhibit exploring the novel's historical context, complete with AI-generated audio tours.
Wow. Yes. Redefinition is the goal because it leverages technology to create experiences that deeply embed the learning. SAMR really forces everyone, teachers, managers, parents, to ask a hard question.
Which is,
are we just using a $1,000 piece of glass in silicon to do exactly what we used to do with a disease? Or are we redefining the boundaries of what is possible?
that's a great question.
But here's the catch. SAMR only measures the capability of the technology.
Right.
It does not measure what is actually happening inside the architecture. Right.
So to pair the mind, the source pairs SAMR with a digital update to Bloom's taxonomy. This was developed by Andrew.
Yes. Now, anyone who has taken an education or psychology class is definitely familiar with Bloom's taxonomy. It's been around since 1956.
Right, the classic pyramid.
Exactly. It's used to categorize educational goals, moving from lower order thinking skills at the bottom to higher order thinking skills at the top. But Church's 2006 update is brilliant because it maps specific digital verbs onto this psychological pyramid.
Let's construct a pyramid from the ground up so we can visualize this. At the foundational base, the absolute lowest order of cognitive effort, we have remembering.
Right.
In the digital era, what does remembering look like? The verbs are bookmarking a web page, highlighting text on a tablet, listing bullet points, or saving a file to a folder. It's basically follow and data.
Very low cognitive load.
Exactly. Then, as we move up one level, we hit understanding. The cognitive load increases slightly. The digital verbs here look like annotating a document with your own thoughts, or summarizing a long article using a mind map.
Or comparing 2 different websites.
Yes, or explaining concepts on a digital forum. You aren't just saving the data anymore, you're actually making sense of it.
Then we cross into active utilization with the next level, apply. This involves implementing, running digital simulations, uploading content to a specific platform, or sharing resources within a network. Crucially, source material places the act of prompting, like writing a prompt for an AI in this category.
Oh, that's interesting. So prompting isn't creating, it's applying.
Right. You are applying your understanding of a goal to manipulate a system to achieve a result.
Okay, now we cross the field threshold into higher order thinking. Next level up is analyzing. This is where real intellectual activity lives.
Yes, it is.
The digital verbs here involve deconstructing media, interrogating large data sets, organizing disparate pieces of digital information, and finding hidden patterns using analytical tools. You are actively breaking the information down to understand its component parts.
And right above that is evaluating. This is a highly sophisticated cognitive state. It involves critiquing a source for bias, reviewing digital content, judging validity of an AI-generated response, which is right now, testing software, defending an argument in a complex online debate, and validating data.
You are making informed judgments based on strict criteria.
Exactly.
And sitting at the very peak of the pyramid, the highest order of human.
The ultimate goal.
The digital verbs here are designing an interface, constructing a virtual environment, planning a digital campaign, inventing a new workflow, programming a piece of software, producing a podcast, or blogging original thoughts. You are synthesizing everything below to produce entirely new original work.
And the profound insight of the source material is how these two frameworks, Samar and Bloom's digital taxonomy, absolutely must interact.
They can't exist in a vacuum.
Right, because you can have the most advanced technology in the world operating at the redefinition level of Samar. But if the student is only using it to bookmark websites, they are stuck at the remembering level of things. They are using a supercomputer to do lower order thinking.
I love the visual of how these two interact. To me, it's like a high performance vehicle.
Okay, let's hear it.
The SAMA model is the engine of the technology.
Yeah.
It dictates how much raw horsepower and capability you have at your disposal. But Bloom's digital taxonomy is the steering wheel and the roadmap inside the student brain. You can have a massive redefinition level engine under the hood, but if the student is only using it for lower order recall, they are just driving the Formula One car in circles in the parking lot.
Driving in circles, that is perfectly put.
You need both. You need transformative technology paired with pedagogical design that literally forces the student to steer toward higher order creation and evaluation.
That analogy perfectly illustrates the poor tension we're facing. And this brings us to a rather uncomfortable societal realization.
Uncomfortable now.
Well, there's a deeply ingrained assumption out there that because young people today have grown up completely immersed in this high horsepower technology, because they have never known a world without ubiquitous Wi-Fi, smartphones, algorithmic feeds, that they automatically know how to switch on.
We assume they naturally operate at the top of Bloom's pyramid simply by virtue of their age.
Exactly. The name is digital native.
Right. We hear that phrase constantly. The idea that kids are just naturally fluent in technology in a way older generations are.
But source material throws a massive bucket of cold water on that idea. It explicitly highlights what it calls the digital native myth, citing research by Prince in 2010.
The digital native myth.
Yes. The myth of the digital native is honestly one of the most dangerous assumptions in modern education. The assumption is that youth equals digital literacy.
It does.
Not at all. As the text clearly defines, utilizing digital technologies or possessing mechanical technical skills is not the same thing as being literate. Knowing how to quickly edit a video on a smartphone or navigate a complex video game interface, those are mechanical skills. They are user interface tools.
Right. Muscle memory almost.
Exactly. They do not equate to a deep critical understanding of the digital environment.
Let's ground this in reality, because anyone observing a teenager on social media can see this.
Oh, absolutely.
Just because a 14-year-old can seamlessly stitch together a viral video in 30 seconds using just their thumbs does not mean they have the slightest understanding of how the platform's recommendation algorithm is profiling their psychological vulnerabilities to serve them targeted advertising.
Right. It's a completely different skill set.
The source references Tim Upthall, 2022, which defines digital literacy not as a mechanical skill, but as a deeply developed set of competencies and critical thinking skills required for safely and effectively navigating the digital world.
And to map this out, the source relies on the European Union's DIGCOM 2.2 framework.
The EU DIGCOM 2.2 framework is incredibly rigorous. It defines a digital citizen across 5 distinct pillars, and none of them zero are about how bad they can type this one.
Let's explore these pillars because they really show the vast gulf between a digital consumer and an actual digital citizen.
So the first pillar is information and data literacy. This goes far beyond just typing a question into a search engine.
It's about evaluation. Exactly. It is the ability to locate, access, filter, and critically evaluate information. If a student sees a deeply convincing video of a politician saying something controversial, do they have the literacy to trace the provenance of that video? Can they analyze the metadata? Can they evaluate the credibility of the host?
Wow, that's rigorous. Okay, the second pillar is collaboration and communication. Now, this means interacting, sharing, engaging in civic life through digital technologies. Crucially, it also includes managing digital identities and etiquette.
Etiquette is so important.
Right. It's the understanding that the way you communicate in an ephemeral messaging app with your friends is fundamentally different from how you present your digital identity in a professional or academic forum. It is the active awareness of your digital shadow.
And then the third pillar is digital content creation. This involves developing and integrating new content, but it is heavily focused on the ethics of creation.
Ethics like what?
Like, does the learner understand copyright law? Do they understand open source license? Do they understand the foundational logic of programming, even if they aren't software engineers?
It's about respecting the ecosystem.
Exactly.
Okay, the fourth pillar is safety. And this goes way beyond just having a task or updating your antivirus software.
Which is what everyone thinks of.
Right. It's about protecting personal data and privacy, sure. But it also explicitly includes protecting physical, psychological health, well-being, and even understanding the environmental impact of digital technologies.
Yes. Knowing what to screen down because it is actively inducing anxiety is a core component of digital literacy.
That is profound. And the final pillar is problem solving. This is the ability to identify technical needs, make creative use of technology to solve conceptual problems, and perhaps most importantly, recognizing one's own competences.
Yes. A truly literate digital citizen knows exactly what they do not know, and they know how to systematically seek out that missing knowledge.
Now, that framework was already a massive challenge to teach. I mean, that's a lot. But when we superimpose generative artificial intelligence over that landscape, the difficulty multiplies exponentially.
It really does.
The source material points to a rapidly growing need for specific AI literacy, research by Chiyotada 2024. And these literacies are fascinating because they aren't about coding at all, they're about cognition.
Let's dissect these specific AI literacies because they really represent the new frontier of education. The first AI literacy is having the confidence and the ability to clearly explain how AI technologies actually work, how they impact society. You don't need to be a machine learning engineer, but you must conceptually understand the black box. You need to understand that an LLM is predicting the next statistically likely word based on vast training, not pulling objective truth.
Right, it's not important. The second AI literacy is the ability to use these tools in an ethical and responsible manner. So this means understanding issues of plagiarism, intellectual property, and honestly, the cost, the massive required.
The energy cost.
It is. Third is the ability to effectively communicate and collaborate with AI systems in varied settings, treating them as dynamic tools rather than infallible guides.
But it is the fourth AI literacy that is the most critical and probably the most difficult to achieve. It is the confidence and ability to self-reflect on your own AI understanding and to reflect on how well individuals and society are using AI in beneficial ways.
So it's a metacognitive skill.
Exactly. It requires the learner to constantly evaluate their own relationship to machine.
That requirement for self-reflection is profound. Let's make this highly personal for everyone listening.
Let's do it.
You might be incredibly adept at opening an AI chatbot and typing in, I have chicken, broccoli, and rice in my fridge. It could be a highly rated dinner recipe. The AI spits out a beautiful recipe in seconds.
Tinker is safe.
Right. So you possess the mechanical skill from the machine, but do you have the AI literacy to self-reflect on that interaction?
Right. Do you know how the algorithm weighed the data set to decide which specific flavor profile to suggest?
Exactly. Do you know if it is suddenly prioritizing branded ingredients because of hidden affiliate marketing data embedded in its training set?
Do you know which corporate entity now owns the data of what you just told it about your dietary habits and how they might sell that profile?
Exactly. Blind trust in an algorithmic output is the absolute opposite of educated mind.
It is the ultimate abdication of intellectual responsibility. And because students, regardless of how many hours spent on TikTok or playing Roblox, are not naturally born with these deep critical evaluation skills, the digital native myth is actively dangerous.
It gives society a false sense of security.
It allows us to abdicate our responsibility to teach them. The burden of building these literacies falls squarely on the intentional design of the educational environment.
Which transitions us perfectly to the core operational question.
Yeah.
If the teacher has to build this complex philosophical AI literacy, how do they actually design a physical or digital classroom to do it? Right? This is really the central thesis of the entire school document. Pedagogy first. The architect of the AI classroom is the human teacher.
The presentation could not be more explicit on this. It states, in bold terms, your pedagogical choices shape the success of AI in the classroom.
It's all about pedagogy.
The success of the integration is not determined by the budget you spend on software licenses. Effective integration depends almost entirely on the teaching methods. The technology is subservient to them.
And the source outlines how this subservient AI fits into several highly specific modern pedagogical models. Let's examine the flipped classroom model first, because AI really supercharges this concept.
Okay.
So in a traditional 20th century classroom, the teacher uses the valuable in-person time to broadcast a lecture, and the student goes home to struggle through the homework alone.
The classic model.
Right. The flipped model reverses this. The student absorbs the lecture at home and does the homework in class where the teacher can actually help.
And with AI, this becomes incredibly potent. AI-driven platforms can deliver the lecture at home, adapting video speed, pausing for micro quizzes, and repeating concepts based on the individual student's real-time comprehension.
And think about what that does to the physical classroom the next morning.
Exactly. When the students arrive, the teacher already has a dashboard showing exactly which concepts the students struggled with the night before.
So the teacher is no longer wasting an hour lecturing to a room where half the kids are bored and half are lost.
Instead, they facilitate highly engaging, deep dive activities, debates, and collaborative problem solving based directly on the data.
That is brilliant. Then we have project-based learning. In this model, students tackle complex, open-ended, real-world problems. Let's say a high school class is tasked with designing a sustainable urban water system for their city. AI can operate as the ultimate research assistant in the background. It can crunch vast amounts of topographical data, run fluid dynamic simulations, and summarize municipal zoning laws.
But the success of the project relies entirely on the teacher's ability to guide the human inquiry.
Yes. The teacher manages the collaboration, pushes the students to question the AI's data, and forces them to weigh the ethical and economic impact of their design on different neighborhoods. The AI simulates the physics. The teacher guides the humanity.
I love that phrase. The AI simulates the physics. The teacher guides the humanity. We see a totally different application in play-based learning, which is crucial for early childhood development.
How does AI?
AI tools can create highly interactive, adaptive games that respond to a young child, fostering curiosity and exploration. But a tablet is just a cool piece of glass.
Right.
The learning only crystallizes if the human teacher is present to nurture a stimulating, emotionally safe environment around that game. The teacher helps the child process the frustration of losing, celebrate the creative solution, and connect the digital game to the physical world around it.
And finally, there's blended learning, which is the deliberate orchestration of online and offline activities. AI is brilliant at bridging this gap.
It really is.
It can provide a seamless transition between a digital spelling test and a physical reading group. But it's the human teacher who interprets the analytics to ensure the blend is actually working, providing personalized empathetic support the moment the data shows a student's engagement drop.
And to manage all of this without becoming completely overwhelmed, this course provides a critical operational framework for educators. It's a continuous cycle for critical thinking and AI integration.
Okay, what is this?
It consists of 3 rigorous steps: evaluate, adapt, reflect, iterate. First, you never blindly accept AI's lesson plan for education. You critically evaluate the output to ensure it actively aligns with your true underlying educational goals. The text cites Bender and Collar from 2020 on the absolute necessity of this alignment.
Right, checking the alignment. Second, you adapt. Raw AI content is usually pretty generic. The teacher must adapt and customize that generated content to fit the specific cultural context, the emotional maturity, and the unique neurodiversity of the actual needs in the classroom.
Because an AI doesn't know your students.
Exactly. An AI doesn't know that half your class was traumatized by a local flood last week. The teacher knows that and adapts the lesson on whether it's supporting.
And third, you reflect and iterate. You treat every AI integration as an experiment. You constantly assess if the AI's involvement actually produced authentic learning, and if it didn't, you iterate and change the approach.
I want to address the elephant in the room regarding all this pedagogical design.
Yeah.
Because a very valid fear among educators is that this entire process simply turns teachers into high-level IT managers.
Yes, I hear this fear all the time.
The fear is that the teacher will end up just sitting at a dashboard, staring at analytics, managing software subscriptions, and resetting passwords, while the algorithms do the actual teaching.
Right.
The AI is delivering the lecture, grading the quiz, pacing the homework, and running the simulations. What does the teacher actually do? Are they just a chaperone in a server?
The reality, when executed correctly, is the exact opposite.
Oh, really?
Yes, this technological integration elevates the teacher. It forces them to move to being a highly interactive, empathetic facilitator. The text specifically highlights intelligent learning tutors. These are AI-powered systems that provide personalized, real-time feedback and adapt to a student's micro-performance using incredibly granular learning analytics.
So they're monitoring everything.
They monitor keystrokes, hesitation times, error patterns.
So the algorithm is handling the rote repetition, is handling the infinite patience required to teach a student how to balance a chemical equation 50 times in a row until they finally get it right.
Exactly. And by offloading that specific cognitive and administrative burden to the machine, it frees the human teacher to do what algorithms are fundamentally incapable of doing.
Yes.
An algorithm cannot inspire a disenfranchised student. It cannot motivate a child experiencing grief. It cannot contextualize a historical event within the moral framework of the local community. It cannot guide emotional development.
Wow.
The teacher is not an IT manager. They are the master architect of the human experience occurring within that room.
The master architect is a beautiful vision, but pedagogical theory can sometimes feel incredibly detached from the messy reality of a Tuesday morning in an underfunded public school.
That is very true.
To truly understand this architectural shift, we need to look at how this is actually playing out on the ground. And the source material provides 3 deeply illuminating global case studies that show AI actively breaking down immense barriers to learning.
These 3 case studies are selected perfectly because they apply artificial intelligence to vastly different domains: sensory processing, cognitive pacing, and physiological capability.
Let's examine case study 1, which focuses on a tool called LPC. The challenge here was profound and historic. Visually impaired students have always faced immense friction in traditional education settings.
Right, struggling with physical spatial navigation and accessing standard printed educational materials.
Exactly. The solution deployed was this AI-powered application that leverages advanced computer vision and machine learning algorithms. A visually impaired student can point their smartphone or a wearable camera at their environment.
And then what happens?
The AI ingests those pixels, processes the visual field, and translates it into semantic audio space in real time. It recognizes and audibly narrates objects in the hallway. It reads complex textbook layouts of paper, and it describes the visual elements of a science experiment as it happens.
The impact detail of the study is just staggering. And it wasn't just about marginally higher test scores because they could access the reading material faster. The profound impact was a massive increase in the students' physical independence and psychological confidence. It completely transformed their ability to engage not just in academic tests, but in the chaotic social environment of a school hallway or a cafeteria.
The AI acted as a sensory bridge, allowing them to participate in the shared human experience of the school fully.
Notice the dynamic there. The artificial intelligence isn't replacing human connection. It is actively enabling it by removing a sensory barrier.
That's a great way to put it. Now let's pivot to case study 2, which takes us to Newtown High School in Australia.
Oh, yes.
They were facing a challenge that almost every public educator on earth will recognize: massive heterogeneous class sizes.
It's the universal struggle.
Right. When you have 30 teenagers in a single math class, their comprehension levels are wildly different. A teacher is forced to teach to the statistical middle.
Which serves no one perfectly.
Exactly. The 5 kids who are mathematically gifted are profoundly bored, and the 5 kids who missed the foundational concept 3 weeks ago are entirely lost. A single human being cannot simultaneously deliver 30 different math lectures.
Logistically impossible. So the school implemented a solution, an AI-driven platform called Math Pathway.
Okay, math pathway.
This is where we see the intelligent learning tutor concept in action. This tool completely personalized the math curriculum based on every single student's individual pace, historical performance, and specific learning style.
So it's constantly adjusting.
Yes, the platform continuously assesses their progress at a granular level, providing real-time feedback and dynamically adjusting the difficulty of the next problem based on how quickly they solve the last one.
And the quantitative impact was clear. Significant improvement in overall math performance, much higher daily engagement, and demonstrably better test scores. But the qualitative impact on the teacher's grade is the real story here.
This is the best part.
Because the AI was silently handling the pacing and rote grading of all 30 kids, it generated real-time diagnostic data. The teacher could look at their tablet and see a red flag indicating that exactly 3 students, let's say Sarah, John, and David, were completely stuck in the concept of dividing fractions. Right? The teacher could then pull those 3 specific kids aside for physical table and stage a highly effective, deeply targeted human-to-human intervention.
The AI handled scale, the teacher handled conceptual block.
Exactly. It's the ultimate manifestation of blend learning. Technology clears the brush so the human.
I love that. And case study 3 takes this concept into a domain most people would never associate with artificial intelligence: physical education.
This one's wild.
Takes us to Sun Valley Primary in South Africa.
I found this case study utterly fascinating because it addresses the trauma of traditional gym class.
Trauma is real.
Right. The challenge identified is that traditional physical education grading rubrics rely on standardized comparative metrics. Blow a whistle, and every kid has to run a mile.
Right.
The natural athletes run ahead and get an A. The kids who are asthmatic or overweight or simply haven't developed those appropriate pathways struggle at the back. They feel public shame, and they develop a lifelong aversion to physical exercise. The traditional system does not meet the very physiological realities of students.
It's a one-size-fits-all model that fits almost.
Exactly. So to solve this, Sun Valley Primary implemented an entirely different paradigm. They utilize wearable devices, fitness trackers. They continuously collect objective physiological data from each student.
Like what kind of data?
Resting heart rate, active heart rate zones, feet to access points. They fed all this data into an AI system. The AI then generated highly customized, entirely individualized workout plans and cardiovascular goals for every single child based entirely on their own current physiological baseline.
The psychological impact of shifts immense. The AI removed the comparative friction.
Yes.
A student wasn't being graded on whether they could be the best in the class. They were being graded on whether they could slightly improve their own cardiovascular output compared to last week.
Because the fitness plans were personalized, meaning they were challenging but physiologically achievable for that specific child. Their motivation and active participation skyrocketed.
And just like a math teacher in Australia, the PE teachers in South Africa could monitor the aggregated data.
Right on tablet.
Exactly. They could adjust parameters, identify which students were struggling to hit their personal zones, and approach them to provide that encouragement and coaching based on actual objective physiological reality, rather than just yelling at them to run faster.
Run faster.
Right.
It doesn't work if the heart rate is already maxed out.
Exactly.
If we synthesize these three vastly different environments, a visually impaired student navigating a crowded physical hallway, a dense Australian math classroom, and a sunny South African athletic field, a profound hidden pattern really emerges.
What's the pattern?
In every single case, the artificial intelligence is being used not to replace the human experience, but to surgically remove friction.
Yes.
It removes the friction of unreadable text. It removes the friction of a monolithic math curriculum moving too fast. It removes the friction of a standardized physical expectation that chains a child's body. It clears the path of all that unnecessary resistance so the student can actually engage deeply with the authentic act of learning.
It is a radical reframing of what technology is supposed to do. Now, these case studies showcase institutional power, right? Schools rolling out massive software platforms and wearable hardware.
Like multi-million-dollar budgets.
Exactly. But the beauty of the current technological moment is that the source material also provides a direct, highly practical playbook for how anyone, any individual learner sitting at home with a laptop can harness this exact same power themselves.
We are moving from the macro to the micro here. The presentation outlines incredibly detailed, 8-step, hands-on activity for creating a personalized learning pathway using a standard AI chatbot.
And this is essentially a masterclass program.
It really is. It's brilliant because it forces the user to stop treating the AI like magic email or simple search engine and start treating it like a highly structured curriculum design.
Let's walk through these 8 steps because they are immediately actionable for anyone listening right now.
Okay,
The first step is to define your learning goal, but it must be intensely specific. You cannot just type teach me about human heart.
Why not?
Because the latent space of the AI is too fast. If you generic garbage, you must narrow the parameters. Specific goal is improve my diagnostic reasoning skills in cardiology.
Okay, so specific goal. Step 2, identify your current knowledge. You have to be brutally honest with what you about your gaps.
Right.
You would say, I have a basic foundation understanding of cardiac anatomy, but I completely struggle with interpreting complex ECG readouts. You're basically setting the floor of the curriculum.
Exactly. Step 3, specify your learning preference. How does your specific brain absorb information best? You need narrative structure, visual aids, hard data.
You know the AI. I prefer interactive case-based learning scenarios that rely heavily on visual aids like diagrams and charts.
Step 4, set time frame and availability. This is where you introduce critical constraints. Algorithms thrive on constraints.
Give me an example.
I want to prepare for a clinical exam that is exactly 6 weeks away. I can only dedicate 2 hours daily to this specific topic. Proposing the AI to calculate easy needs.
I love that. Step 5, choose assessment methods. How will you prove to yourself you have actually learned the material? You have to demand friction here. I want you to generate rigorous weekly quizzes on ECG interpretations and grade my answers.
Step 6, request additional resources. You don't want the AI hallucinating facts from random internet forums, so you fence it in with authority.
Little information directly from Harrison's Principles of Internal Medicine and highly reputable peer-reviewed online tutorials.
Exactly. Step 7, define challenges and narratives. Now, this step is a stroke of genius. You explicitly tell the AI what is going to stop you from succeeding.
Likewise.
I have very limited access to high-speed internet during my study hours, so I need you to prioritize and generate offline resources and text summaries I can download.
That is so smart. And finally, step 8, customize and generate pathway. You take all those carefully considered parameters and combine them into one master prompt.
And the source material provides the final example prompt that a medical student would synthesize from those steps. It reads like a legal contract with a machine.
Okay, read the prompt.
It goes, I am a medical student with basic knowledge of cardiac anatomy and physiology, but I struggle with ECG interpretation. My goal is to improve my diagnostic reasoning skills in cardiology within 6 weeks for an upcoming clinical exam. I can dedicate 2 hours daily, and I prefer case-based learning and visual aids. Include weekly quizzes on ECG interpretation, case-based discussions, and resources like Harrison's Principles of Internal Medicine and online tutorials. Also, I have limited internet access, so suggest offline resources where possible. Generate a personalized learning pathway.
Why is that prompt so effective? Because it is incredibly dense with constraints. It completely eliminates the AI's tendency to guess or hallucinate.
Absolutely.
It establishes a baseline, a hard deadline, a daily time budget, a preferred pedagogical style, specific assessment requests, authoritative source material boundaries, and it even accounts for the physical infrastructure limitations of the student's environment. It treats the AI exactly like you would treat a highly structured, very expensive human administrative assistant who is organizing your life.
And formulating a prompt that requires the exact digital literacies we spent so much time discussing earlier.
The EFD concept.
Right. You have to understand how the machine parses information, how it narrows its probability distribution based on tokens you provided. Presentation also mentions tools like Notebook LM, which is an AI-powered platform designed specifically to help users synthesize complex information from a closed universe of sources that the user actually uploads.
So it only looks what you give it.
Exactly. But to use a tool like Notebook LM effectively, you cannot just be a passive consumer. You have to possess the literacy to ask the right questions and set precise parameters exactly as this 8-step process teaches.
I want you to actively think about how you can use this 8-step framework in your own life the second this deep dive is over. Even if you aren't medical students studying ECGs, you can use this exact same structure to learn a new coding language like Python to prep for a massive high-stakes presentation at your corporate job, or you can learn the fundamentals of architectural history before It is entirely about taking active, intentional agency over the algorithm rather than letting the algorithm direct you.
Agency is the operative word here. But as we step back and look at how intensely capable these systems have become, from instantly generating customized, highly effective 6-week medical curriculums, to analyzing physiological data to coach a gym class, to literally narrating the physical world for the blind, we are inevitably left staring at the ultimate existential elephant in the room.
Yeah, we are.
And the presentation tackles this anxiety head on in its final section.
We have to address the direct question that the text asks. It is the question that every educator, every parent, and frankly every professional whose job involves synthesizing information is quietly whispering. Will AI eventually replace teachers? Here it is.
The definitive answer provided from the source material, citing extensive educational research by John Madden in 2023, is a resounding scientifically backed no. Artificial intelligence will not replace human teachers. And the reasoning goes straight to the core of neurobiology and sociology. While AI can process vast data sets at incomprehensible speeds, it cannot experience or project emotional intelligence. It cannot manifest genuine, spontaneous human creativity. It cannot replicate the deeply complex biological phenomenon of genuine personal interaction.
The source explicitly states that human teachers nurture empathy. They model critical thinking through their own physical struggle with complex ideas, and they foster personal growth through relationship building. The text explicitly labels these as irreplaceable qualities.
Because they are. You simply cannot code genuine empathy into an algorithm.
You can code a simulation of empathy, sure.
Right, but humans possess mirror neurons. We biologically know the difference between a simulation and the real thing. You cannot algorithmically generate the profound neurochemical feelings student experiences when a human teacher, someone they actually respect, looks them directly in the eye, recognizes their struggle, and says, I believe in you, and I see how hard you are trying.
Wow. Yeah, if we tie this all the way back to the very first segment of our deep dive today, the UNESCO report and its 4 pillars of learning from 1996. Artificial intelligence is becoming unfathomably proficient at helping us learn to know by organizing the world's data, and learn to do by simulating tasks and generating code. It can curate the facts and it can simulate the friction.
But it is fundamentally walled off from the other 2 pillars.
Exactly. Only human beings can guide other human beings in learning to live together and learning to be. Those are distinctly, exclusively human endeavors that require the messy, beautiful reality of an actual human community.
So the irony is, if the AI is handling the work, it is generating the massive data analytics on student performance. If it is managing the individualized lessons,
what happens?
It doesn't diminish the human teacher at all. It actually forces the teacher to be more.
That's incredible.
It systematically strips away the administrative robotic tasks that industrial era education systems use to force humans to do, like grading 50 identical multiple choice tests on a Sunday night.
Of course.
Right. It strips the robotic work away, leaving only the uniquely human, deeply connected, empathetic work behind. Clears the deck for actual mentorship.
That is the ultimate profound promise of this technological integration. It is not a replacement of the human spirit. It is a radical elevation of the human role in the developmental process.
Absolutely.
This has been an incredibly deep and rewarding journey. We started with Aristotle's ancient enduring wisdom that we must learn by doing. And we examined the very real cognitive dangers of letting machines do the friction-filled work for us.
The cognitive exoskeleton.
Right. We thoroughly explored the SAM model and Bloom's digital taxonomy to understand how to rigorously measure whether our technology is really substituting old habits or actively redefining the architecture of learning.
Driving the car instead of just having a big engine.
Exactly. We systematically shattered the pervasive myth of the digital native, realizing that true technological fluency requires deep, intentional, philosophical AI literacy.
EU did come 2.2.
Traveled to see inspiring global case studies where AI is actively removing friction for students from Australia and South Africa. And we learned how to masterfully prompt our own personalized, algorithmically driven learning pathways, all while continuously reinforcing the beautiful, irreplaceable humanist art of education.
It is a massive amount of conceptual material we covered, and it all points to one singular necessity. Intentional, thoughtful pedagogy must always take precedence over chasing the novelty of the newest software.
Pedagogy first.
Always. Whether you are an educator designing a syllabus for university, a parent navigating a child's homework routine, or just a lifelong learner managing your own intellectual curiosity, understanding the structural pedagogy behind the AI prevents you from being seduced by empty technological garbage.
And before we leave you today, I want to share one final, absolutely fascinating detail that is quietly, almost invisibly buried at the very end of Dr. Junaid's source document.
I love this part.
The very last slide of his presentation contains a tiny, easily missed note that reads, P.S. All the images used in this presentation are AI generated.
It's a brilliant, highly provocative twist.
It really is.
If a presentation painstakingly designed to teach us about authentic, human-centered learning, cognitive friction, and the irreplaceability of the human soul is entirely visualized by artificial intelligence, where exactly do we draw the line between our own authentic creation and the tools we use to express it?
That's the million-dollar question.
The next time you sit down to create a product, whether it's writing an email, building a corporate presentation, or outlining an essay, look down at your hands, hovering over the keyboard, and ask yourself a very hard question.
Did you do the learning or did the machine? Remember that cognitive exercise. We can help you build the future. But you are the one who has to decide where you are actually wanting. Keep your hands on the controls. Do the hard. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.